She found she's got these pair of elves running around, and then she places them different places, throughout each day. She moves them at night. And then she also got in her head like, hey, let me make these elves come to life. And so she used AI to create a video of them just dancing around wherever they were hiding. Like
That's
at one
awesome.
time they were sitting on the drum set that we have in the basement. And so she recorded them, and all of a sudden they came to life and they grabbed the drumsticks and they were like banging on the drums and they flipped off. And then when she showed this video to my daughter the next day, she was just ecstatic. She was jumping up
Awesome.
with joy. She's like, "Oh my God, the elves are alive! Look, look!"
Aw- Welcome back to Property Pulse, the podcast where we take the heartbeat of property management operations and explore what's actually happening on the front lines. I'm your host, Drew from AI Business Systems, where we work with property management teams to streamline communication using custom AI receptionists, not to replace people, but to give them their time back. Today's guest is someone I've been genuinely excited to have on. David Chan is a 20-year veteran, property and facilities management, a community builder, a coach, a dad, and maybe most importantly, someone who's lived through the evolution and frustrations of property technology firsthand. Dave, welcome to Property Pulse. Great to have you.
Drew, it's good to chat with you again, and I'm excited to explore this topic with you. For sure.
Cool. And just to set expectations for everyone listening, this isn't a sales show. This is a conversation. We're going to talk honestly about what's working, what's broken, and where technology actually helps or sometimes doesn't. Before we get into operations, I want to start where I think the best conversations always start, and that's the human side of things. Dave, you've been in property management for over 20 years, but you're also deeply involved in community work, coaching, and advocacy. How do these worlds collide for you?
It's a great question. I think for me, it's always important to build community and to move collectively. I think how I relate to the world is in community, sort of, a lone hero's journey. I don't think that's feasible. I think you always move in community, you come in community, and if you're good about it, you leave a community as strong and as good as it is before you got there. Would be for me, like coming in and out of New York, where I was, where I grew up, or other schools I've been part of, or other organizations I've been part of, such as like basketball organizations and stuff like that. So I always like to try to leave it better than I found it. I feel like that's a testament of a successful life and just a good, North Star for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And great point, too. Um, okay, a lot of people outside the industry don't realize how emotionally demanding property management can be. And you've mentioned before that technology hasn't always made that easier. You said something during our first conversation that stuck with me, that property tech handles finance reasonably well, but when it comes to operations and communication, something's missing. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, for sure. Like the first piece is just that, the nuts and bolts of like accounting and sort of finance work is a lot of spreadsheets, right? That's numbers and formulas. That can be done relatively well with existing technology, not even AI. I'm sure AI can take that to leaps and bounds, right? There's no subjective sort of quote unquote human emotional aspect to it. Whereas real nuts and bolts of property management, I think, is the relationships. And so building the trust with the tenants or the vendors. And a lot of times that is timeliness and accuracy in finding out what their ask is and the solution. And a lot of times that is making that human connection, doing it in a timely manner, and doing it accurately. That's what builds trust. And I don't think prop tech is there right now. To circle it back to prop tech, like we have a lot of work order technology sort of systems that are good for tracking things. It's good for the managers to track the property managers. It's good for the executives to track like us on how many tickets we're getting and if we close them out on a monthly cadence. But in terms of actually getting the work done and getting the work done in a way the tenant or the vendor, the end user appreciates, there's a disconnect there because it really doesn't translate into, oh, they're getting a great experience where they trust the answer that's coming out of it, because it really isn't. It's really just a redistribution machine. It's just like I put in a ticket for a runny toilet, and then it goes to X and X person, and then they need to wait for that person to click on it and it comes back to them. So you still need a lot of manual person time. But I think what's missing there is like if AI can sort of take that piece and give the tenant like real time or vendor end user real time response, like, hey, we hear what you're saying. Here's what we think it is. In the meantime, we're going to send it to someone to really review it. But here's a step that you can take to mitigate the issue, or even maybe take some more photos, give some more details on what is going on. So by the time it gets to the property manager's desk, they have all the information they need, and they can even more quickly, more efficiently, because that's what we're going for,
Yeah.
give you a better diagnosis and a quicker getting to that solution quicker. I think that's where AI can help us. I think those are the pain points we have, because right now it's just the end user putting his ticket in and then they're just waiting and waiting. It's a bottleneck on when
Yeah.
a maintenance tech or a property manager can get to all these tickets, all these emails. You can only
Right.
read one email at a time, even if you're super efficient. It's one at a time, so there's a bottleneck there. So
Yeah.
that's definitely a pain point for sure.
Yeah, and you mentioned disconnect, and that's something we hear constantly. So I'd love to unpack through the three pillars that we talk about a lot on the show. And let's start with tenant support and maintenance, because that's where emotions tend to run the highest, right? On an average week, what types of tenant requests eat up more time for you than they probably should?
Yeah, I thought about this, and I really think like there are a lot of questions about kind of like informational questions. Like they'll ask about, let's say, what are the rules or regulations for this sort of event, or I'm doing something like this, and sometimes it is out of the box, and it'll require me to go hunting for the answer as well. And so, I think when it comes to that, I think PropTech AI can help a lot in sort of locating these answers for them, and maybe have me vet them or give them a first draft of it. Like, I think it'll be very helpful if these tenant handbooks are digitized, these lease abstracts are sort of AI readable, and these answers can be quickly gotten to through like an AI kind of prop tech, because a lot of times it's these questions like, hey, I'd like to have a social event at say, hey, is this, what are the rules and regs for each this building? What's the rules and regs in your lease? And then here's the COI requirements. I think that's a pain point I feel like can be alleviated easily. And I think too, I mentioned COI requirements, that's a question I get all the time. And they're always wondering, hey, I have a vendor coming in. Are we good? And I'm like, actually, you need these CO. The COI has these requirements. It looks like this. And a lot of times I think like it's the same email over and over again. That
Over
should
repetitive, right? Repetitive.
easily be automated and easily vetted. It shouldn't require a person to review it and then also to file it and then easily pull it out. And I think that is a place that can uh, be easily AI.
Easily. And then when something like a leak happens, what usually breaks down first? Is it coordination, speed, trust? What is it?
I think maybe it ties into like coordination, or even before that, like diagnosing it is an issue. I get it. Let's say for an example, like this example where a tenant has a leak in their bathroom and they're kind of freaking out, right? And they're like, okay, I need to get immediate answers on this or immediate attention on this. So they want to call it in and get that. And sometimes you're not there for that, or it's tough to get there. I think hopefully AI gets to a point where like an end user can take a video of that and then upload it, and then it could be easily diagnosed. Like that's just that's just a bad flushometer. It's just constantly flushing. It's not going to lead to an issue. We'll get to that. At the meantime, maybe don't use that one. It really is backing up, or there's a real issue. Like okay, here we go. We're ratcheting it up. We're gonna even we'll let the property manager know, maintenance tech know, but we're informing the plumber, so then they could come out, you know, uh, in an easy way. Now, there's definitely caveats there too. Like, we want these tickets going directly from end user to an outside vendor, and then there's a cost involved. Maybe not. We'll see. Maybe you could tweak the sliders on that to see. Do you want it to go out? But if it's a real emergency, you probably do, right?
Right.
But yeah,
And you
I
can
would
create
say
urgency levels, right? You can create
yeah,
urgency
different
levels.
urgency. It's like, "Oh my god, this is leaking all over the place. We gotta get a handle on it."
Yeah.
For sure. I think the number one part is, like, help diagnosing it, and I think a lot of times I think I can see a AI being able to kind of give a back and forth with the end user, say, "Hey, I think I have this issue," and it'll be like, "Send me a picture, send me a video. Let's see what this looks like. Let me try to diagnose it, like the first level, and
Yeah.
then uh, we could go from there. That could hopefully like kind of flatten the learning curve or lower the response time."
Yeah, yeah, that'd be great. And I think residents probably aren't necessarily upset about the problem itself, but they would be upset more about the silence or the lack
Yes.
of, right? That's
Yes.
probably where it lies. If residents got instant answers without calling you, how much time would you get back?
Wow, that instant answers, that would save me a lot of calls. Seriously, probably maybe an hour a day. Almost sure.
Yeah, that's your life, you know?
Yeah, yeah, that's a lot more productivity you can have. A lot of times it's difficult to do head down work when you got these calls come flying in.
I'm sorry, say that again?
It's hard to do head down work. Like let's say I'm doing budgeting or finance work where I need to really just
Yes, I get
allocate like an hour, half an hour of time
right.
when you're constantly getting these calls being a concentration
Yes.
to get into that flow. A lot of times, a lot of property managers actually will do overtime work and just or on their own time do budgeting and finance work, morning
That's
work,
amazing. To
at
get
off
that quiet
hours.
time, right? To finally get that quiet time.
The quiet time is your own personal time.
Yeah, yeah. That's crazy, and that's crazy in my opinion. And AI is not built to replace anybody. It's not built to replace staff, and I think there's a misconception about that, you know? It's to help protect the bottlenecks, you know, and that's where the power really comes in. Let's talk leasing for a second here. Phones ringing, emails, texts, and then walk-ins all at the same time, I'm sure. You mentioned before that people can only handle one conversation at a time, but prospects don't care about that. What kinds of leasing questions feel repetitive, but they still have to be answered accurately?
Right, right, right. Well, to be fair, I'm lucky that I've had like leasing teams really take handle the brunt of that. But I will get like calls every once in a while, like, "Oh, I seen your billboard. I'm interested in space in your building. Who do I talk to?" And they'll want to pick up the phone and make a call, and so they want to hear somebody. They want to get an answer, and I think simple questions like that, where it's like there's a simple answer. It could, I think, like an AI receptionist should be able to handle that, kind of redirect them to the proper place, or just even give them information like, what kind of space are you looking for? How much square feet are you looking for? Okay, there is an option here. Like let's explore that, and then also redirect them.
Yeah,
That's for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. How big is your leasing team?
At Rendina, we have two folks in New Jersey. Yeah, yeah, and then there's regional, right? So altogether, that may be like I don't know, like 10 or so. Yeah, perhaps.
Okay, got it. And they handle things pretty nicely? Do they ever have them?
They do. They do. Yeah, I would say they do. Yeah.
Good, good.
Yeah, they're very friendly. Like I mean, but for them, like their whole business and core competency is the relationship, right? So
Yes.
as soon as they get that call, they're all over it. They need to have a lot of bandwidth for that, and so that's a lot of work to manage that. And you have to be on call. You're right next to that phone, right? So
And that's where AI can't replace people, you know? It's that human connection. It's that relationship building. It's just designed to create, ease up the bottlenecks, on the overflows and things like that. When you've tried to improve systems in the past, who did you need to buy-in from to make it stick?
my manager. And then they would have to get buy-in from their manager. So I was just thinking the last time I had to push for new technology, it was probably at UBS when I was with Cushman and Wakefield, and it required buy-in from my direct manager and then the manager above me,
Yeah,
real estate facilities campuses.
got it.
So probably like a level two levels above.
2 levels, yeah. Let's talk about tours and scheduling because this is often like the first impression. How manual does that process feel today?
Oh yeah, it's very, very manual. Like for me, it does take a long time to schedule tours, especially if I'm thinking about like for vendors coming in for like let's say I have an RFP, let's say it's for like a janitorial contract for the building, and I want to have three vendors come in. This tour is going to take like an hour, maybe even longer. I don't want to do three tours. I just want to do it one time, right? But then the work of just scheduling that tour, all the emails back and forth, just also takes a long time. And so I feel like that's something, that's less like relationship building, more like logistical. I think an AI should be able to handle that and sort of just ping off the different parties, if you will, give them an RFP, like sort of scope, and then also be connected to my calendar and know, hey,
Yes.
this is the window that I have for a tour, and here we go. Like let's try to make it work. Have all the different vendors come in at the same time because that'll increase efficiency for sure. And that's definitely a pain point.
Okay. And what would ideal look like to you? Not perfect, but better.
Ideal? Oh, that'd be just paying off, like, instead of taking, like, a week or sometimes even, like, 2 weeks to, like, coordinate, it's called, maybe it takes, like, 3 days, some back and forth, and then you have everyone sort of agreed upon on 1 day to come in for that hour, and, everyone has the same documents, for the RFP, the same scope, and, the same contact information for when they arrive, how to get et cetera, and then, all starting from the same starting point, if you will.
Yeah. Beautiful and efficient. Yeah. Very. You used a phrase which I loved before, and you said AI as connective tissue, which
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think
can
so too.
you speak more about that?
Yeah. I think you and I agree that, like, AI is not here to replace people. That's not gonna happen, but it can increase productivity, and so that's how I see it as, like, it's another layer. It's a little bit more than a little bit more advanced than like just plain old software, and it could get a little bit closer to human connection, but it's still not there yet. So I feel like AI can kind of bridge that gap between like kind of a dead, dumb software and a person. And all that I mentioned of how like it can kind of lower the response to match to things. So I think in that way it can kind of be like a simulation of a human collection, like a person answering your questions like pretty closely,
Yeah.
but it's not there yet. So it's almost like it gets to close to the finish line and hands a baton to a person like a me or a maintenance tech, and then we'll take him from there and we'll finish that connection off. That's what
Right.
I view AI as. So it's like a great tool uh, in that way.
Yeah, that's exactly how we think about AI receptionists too. Not as robots, right? But as infrastructure. We look at it as infrastructure. Um, if AI could give your team more time for relationship building, for problem solving, complex problem solving, or even community engagement, would that feel like a win to you?
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Definitely. That would be huge. Like more productivity means, getting your time back, right? And that's, if anything, that's the most scarce resource that you have, right? Because your time is your life, right?
it's
So
valuable.
if you have that time back, you can now, reallocate it for something else. Or you can even have it back and you could spend it to on something that is like more nourishing and more like a recharging for you. So that would be huge.
Huge, cool. Little quick detour because this is one of my favorite AI stories. Your wife using AI to bring Elf on the Shelf to life. I love it. Can you speak more to that? 'Cause it's cute and it's so appropriate this time of year.
Appreciate you bringing that up, man. The elves are still alive and running amok. So I have a 7-year-old daughter. I have 2 kids, a 10-year-old boy, and a 7-year-old daughter. And my daughter, she got in her mind through her friends who all talk about elf on the shelf in their homes. The elves are running around. Do you have an elf on the shelf? And so she just twisted my wife's arm and was like, we need elves in the shelf. Like, why how come we don't have elves? What's going on? Santa doesn't care about us? And of course my wife is like, all right, now I gotta step it up. I gotta get these elves. So she found and got these. She's got these pair of elves running around, and then she places them different places, throughout each day. She moves them at night, and then she also got in her head like, "Hey, let me make these elves come to life." And so she used AI to create a video of them just dancing around wherever they were hiding. Like
It's
at one
awesome.
time, they were sitting on the drum set that we have in the basement, and so she recorded them, and all of a sudden they came to life, and they grabbed the drumsticks, and they were like banging on the drums, and they flipped off. And then when she showed this video to my daughter the next day, she was just ecstatic. She was jumping up with joy. She's like, "Oh my god, the elves are alive! Look, look!" She just demanded that my wife send that video to her teacher and to show the rest of her classmates because she was just
That's
so
so
excited about it.
awesome.
And that's the power of AI, right?
Yeah,
It's not replacing my wife. It's not replacing my interaction with my child.
exactly.
It's it's just it's another tool that just brings
It just
joy,
amplified it,
just like
amplified it,
brings that
Didn't
connectivity.
replace anything, it
Yeah.
it totally stepped it up, which is awesome. And now if you fast forward 2 or 3 years, what do you hope property technology does better than it does today?
That's a great question. I really hope it streamlines like a lot of functions that we do that just seem to needlessly take a lot of time. We already spoke about some of those already. Just easy questions that can be answered, but hard to dig out. Questions in the tenant handbook, or in a lease. Who wants to go through all that legalese? AI wouldn't mind, so let them
Right.
do it, right?
Right.
And in 2, 3 years, hopefully it gets to a point where AI is so close to a person answering your question that you won't feel like, damn, like from a tenant perspective, you won't feel like, damn, I got an AI. This is not good enough. I need to make another call. Like I got to keep emailing them, because I still feel like it's not there yet. Where when you get those like chat robots or AI talk, sometimes people still feel like that wasn't really a person. I don't think they really understood what I was going for. I need to talk to someone else. And so I hope in 2, 3 years time, it'll get enough reps in, and then it'll get to a point where people will feel comfortable and say, "Oh, all right, that AI did answer my question. I'm pretty good. I feel confident that my problem is going to be solved in a timely manner, and that trust and that relationship is deepened there instead of like a disconnect."
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Dave, this has been such a grounding conversation. No hype, just real talk about real operations. For people listening who are in property management and thinking, yeah, all sounds familiar. What advice would you give them?
In terms of AI, I think it's like don't be afraid of technology. Try to work with it. It can solve a lot of problems for sure, for sure. Doing things same old, while the time involved, and eventually you'll get to quote unquote the promised land. There could be a better way. And a lot of times, technology is a is a huge catalyst in changing the way things go. And so I would say be open minded and look forward to new technology that can disrupt and change things for the better.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Dave, thank you for your time, your honesty, and your perspective. This is why this show, Property Pulse, actually exists. And to everyone listening, if this episode resonated, share it with someone on your team who's feeling overwhelmed by calls, messages, and missed opportunities. And if you're curious about what thoughtful, customized AI can look like in real property operations, the conversation always starts with listening. So until next time, this is Property Pulse. Thanks for tuning in. And thanks, Dave.
Thank you. Take care.